What's up, bro? First of all, sorry for my English because, I'm a Spanish guy. Here is the actual balance, okay? It's not a screenshot, it's the casino. And here you can see, wait, oh shit, the starting balance was this. So yeah, 4K, bro. I'm always betting 200 the unit, and if I lose one hand, I bet the double. But if I lose again, I reset the shoe and play again 200. That's why in the website.
Hello everyone, this is Charlie Barley back at you guys with another video. This time, as I've told you before, I have one of my users who's on the phone with me now, who's going to be showing you guys what he's done. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull it up real quick here. Even though my numbers actually show him at 75, but I just recently made some changes, by the way, Jason. I just made some changes so that the numbers are fairly right. But I gotta update them. This is the reason why I keep telling you guys to send me the screenshots, because I have to, at least now, I have to go back and re-update everyone's numbers, because the numbers are actually better than what the site is showing. It's just that in between a lot of the updates that I was doing, the last thing I was worried about was those numbers. I knew what people were doing. I just, in terms of just getting the absolute how much you earned and all that percentage right, that really wasn't a big issue. The biggest issue for us was to make sure that you got the algorithm right. And it appears not only do we have the one user who I mentioned to you, we're going to be hopefully doing an interview with him sometime this week where he made over $20,000, but we got another gentleman right now who's on his heels. He's on his heels, and we're going to be talking to him. His name's Jason. Jason is actually not new. You're not new to me, and you're not new to the quote-unquote gambling world, but he's certainly not new to me. He's been a part of what I've been doing in and out for a few years now. We'll have Jason talk about that. But as you can see here on the screen, right now he has now a cash balance of $8,500. And then I'm going to be using ChatGPT. I've been using ChatGPT for everything. ChatGPT gave me 10 good questions to ask him relative to his success and all that good stuff. So without further ado, Mr. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Not bad. Doing well.
Good. He's so nice and calm. And he's just, people who make good money, they don't tend to talk as loud and tough and, but this guy's doing really, really well. And I just want to ask you a few questions about, how long you've been in, what you've seen, some of the challenges, what's gotten you up to the $8,500 mark. First, to start, you're not doing this full time, right? It's not like you're quote unquote gambling, because I hate to use the term gambling with what we're doing, but you're not trading in this market with us full time, are you? If so, how much time are you spending when you're doing this?
I'm kind of only really play Monday through Friday when I have some time during work, honestly. So like if I'm in Zoom meetings, I'll like pop this up, and as I'm in a Zoom meeting, I'm actually doing some trading, because the Zoom meetings for work honestly are kind of boring. So
oh,
I kind of listen and kind of do this at the same time, and then I kind of go from there. But I don't play at night. That's family time. I got some kids and sports, and then weekends. That's my wife and I like to have fun, so I'm not really on this on the weekends either. Maybe if I wake up early, get a quick session in, but nothing too crazy. I don't spend a lot of time on it, to be honest. Maybe an hour a day at the most, Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. And so if this is factual, what was your starting balance when you first started? You're at 85 now. Where were you when you first started?
I started with $1,000.
So $1,000, and you did it, and how long have you been here? Been a part of this?
Since the app kind of came out was when I got in. So was that mid-September?
Yep, mid-September. Yep. I literally published it on my birthday, September 12th. Shout out to Nazim Talib, who is the risk manager guy I always talk about, who created the ludic fallacy, which is also termed as gambler's fallacy. He termed that definition as a guru of risk management years ago. Needless to ended up finding out that guy has the same birthday as mine. So we literally have the same birthday. So that's when I actually uploaded the app. So you've been here for a little over about 2 months, and I know we had a down period of about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, when the app was down. So all in all, it's very, very little time. And if we looked at this at a per hour basis, your per hour earnings is pretty sick if we were to do it that way. Based on the stats, it shows that you did at least the freestyle games, 682 games, a total of 101 units earned. Now this on my screen is showing 5,600, of which I know why those issues were, because as you know, the actual stats were wrong, and some of the instructions I were to give to actually increase unit things I didn't give you, but for the most part I've got it recaptured, and we're going to go ahead and clean up the stats. So let's go ahead and start talking about, you've been here for a little while, like I said, and that hadn't been long. You're only playing for an hour, and so I'm going to go with question 1. It says, walk us through your daily or weekly routine. How much time were you actually putting in, and how did you fit Shadow Max around your normal life? You kind of answered that, 1 hour, and it sounds to me like you're not letting this interfere with family time or nothing like that. So let me just jump to question 2. When did it first hit you that the system was actually working? Was there a single shoe or day where everything just clicked, or were you following just the process and math only?
Well, pretty early on, I was pretty fortunate. I was getting that first-hand win rate, was really high. It was like 78% or almost 80%. And, so for the first little bit there, it was just like, oh, this is way too easy. But what I liked was the simplicity about the I don't use it on my phone or an app. I use the website. I do all this on my computer.
Okay.
And it's just easier. It's just simple. Like I said, I can multitask and do this. That's why I kind of bought in. Like I said, I've been around for a while. I've done the old school stuff with the with the Excel spreadsheet. And it wasn't my game, because I would, if you don't pay attention, you can make an error pretty quick.
Yeah, very true. Totally, very, very true, which is why we clearly have the app to minimize. And you're right about that, because playing online is a lot more fluid than playing on your phone. Now playing on your phone is easy, but you have to go back and forth between the screens on your phone. Yeah. Which is fine. I don't have a problem with it, but I certainly like playing more on the computer than before. So good. All right.
I got a 24-inch screen set up.
Oh, nice.
I split the screen with the app on one side and the online Baccarat on the other side.
So without going into too much detail, what do you do outside of here? You don't necessarily have to say verbatim or even mention your business name, but I know you mentioned you were in business. What do you do outside of this?
So I'm in the sales for manufacturing for CNC machine tools to machine shops in my area. Okay,
good. And I was asking that, and I typically ask people that kind of question because there is a certain mindset that you have to have, or at least in anything concerning money that you should have when it comes to management. I tend to think that managing here is much easier than managing in any business you've ever thought about. I don't know what businesses you've started before, but to reach the earnings that you've reached, and we're talking 682 games that were recorded so far. Considering that we view this as business and the process to earn versus and relative to the cost that you'd have to spend to earn it, where do you grade this process and what we're doing here?
I'd say it's very inexpensive for the earnings that you achieve, and the risk is lower, in my opinion. You know, there's nowhere where you can turn around this kind of money this quickly, if you will, to you know, based out in a real world environment. You know, I'd have to do a lot more in sales to get this to generate, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And being a business owner for 20 years, I know to earn this kind of money, it would take, to earn $8,500, you would probably have to have invested $20,000 in your business to earn that. If you think of, in terms of business, like as an owner, not as an employee, you know what I mean? So if you had a company and your company went up $8,500, it's just like I used to tell folks, like when I used to work in corporate, like, you know, if you work a job and you're making $100,000 a year, don't you know that corporation probably spent maybe $1 million or so to afford to be able to pay you the kind of money that you're making? Like, whatever money's being made, there has to be an expense to even make it, right? And that's how business works. And I think a lot of us don't really understand, like, hey, when we're making this, the cost that it takes in the real world, quote unquote, is so astronomically different in terms of consistency too, because also this is 682, at least from the record here. So it's not like you've done this a couple times. You've done this hundreds of times. And what I keep trying to tell the market is that the variables that you're seeing, it's not going to change tomorrow. You understand that, right?
Correct.
Like you can do this for the next 12 years and there's not going to be a 10th variable. There's not going to be a 9th well, it's 9, but it's not going to be a, you know, more variables or some type of extension of the game that's going to force a different outcome. All right, let's go ahead and go through some more of these questions. It says, before hitting 7K, did you ever have doubts, or what's that, 7K? You're actually 85. You ever have doubts or moments you thought the system might fail? And if so, what did you do to push through it?
Yeah, because, you know, so we all hate, you know, as we're going on, you know, having a downward spiral, if you will. You're going through your lull, because this game is, as we all know, is a game of peaks and valleys. You're going to go up and you're going to come down. You just got to ride out the wave, and it's the mindset you have to keep as you're in that losing streak. Like I think I told you, I had like a week and a half where I just treaded water. You know, basically made no money, didn't really lose any money. But
wait a minute, you didn't quit? Why didn't you quit, man?
you know, you got to keep going.
And why didn't you call me filling my email in my inbox about how bad it was? I was waiting for these emails because this whole time I'm thinking, you know, Jason is doing nothing but winning. He's not losing a cent at all in this process. So you mean to tell me you went a week? How shameful.
Yeah, I think I literally made maybe $100 or maybe lost $100 in that week. Yeah.
Right. So it happens. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think what happens is that the gambler, and I say the gambler, and I'm not trying to disparage people in terms of who they are as people, because I don't think just because you have gambling appetite doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that mentally you have a disruptive pattern that is very, very is damaging. It's harmful in the end to not just you but your family. But what I try to have the quote unquote gambler understand is the long-term effect of it, and how variance, the game, it's just like it's like a game. It's like a basketball game. Like I was looking at the other game the other night. I think it was the Spurs that were playing, which is like now my new team. But I think they were down like the first, which happens all the time in basketball. They were down for quarters 1 through 3. Fourth quarter is when they actually started making a stride and they came back to win. I think it was the game from last week. But nonetheless, it's a part of the game. And I'm glad that you mentioned that you win a week. So guys, when you're going through the process, listen, in the real world, again, a week down or a week treading water. Now, with that said, before I even go there, with that said, the newest process, I think, is going to definitely help you move beyond that. And we'll talk about that in a second. But In the interim of things, guys, you got to learn that it's a process of growth. You're going to grow through things. It's like any business. This business happens really, really quickly. In the standard business, treading water could be months or years. And I'm talking about the successful ones. All right. And the reason why these companies don't fail immediately is because they have a large enough bankroll to cover the debt. So that's the reason why these companies, they tend not to make any money for 2 years. The reason is because when they go get a bank loan, they don't try and gamble their way to success. They have enough money to manage the up and the down. It's just that when we come here, we look at it like gambling. And we take our $2, and if we don't win $1 million tonight, something's wrong. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that you got to take out of this. Is don't set your expectations that you're always going to, you're going to be a millionaire in 30 days. So it's just, you got to have a business mindset in everything you do. Like I've said this, and I've been a part of the group chat a little bit. I've been, I'm a guy that gets in and gets out. I don't let this stuff. I don't let the lows get too low, and I don't let the highs get too high.
Very well said. Next question, it says, how has using math and structure through Shadow Max changed your mindset toward risk, money, and even life outside the casino, if any at all? Just a question.
I haven't really put that much thought in that, to be honest.
Okay.
This Shadow Max has taken a lot of thought out of it. I do play my own, games at a local casino with friends, and the losing and variance is much more prevalent in the brick and mortar without Shadow Max software. To be bluntly honest.
Got you. What was the biggest emotional shift you noticed from when you first started to now? I look at everything as units. I don't even look at anything with dollars. The dollars just come with the units. And I'll trade. I'll wager $1 the same way I would $150, and just follow the rules. Whatever the system's telling me to do, I do, and go with the win, go with the loss, and do the next step accordingly, and not try to where you get in trouble in this is when you try to break the system. Next thing you know, you're doubling up bets or martingale until your bankroll's gone. Absolutely. And I think to that point, like when you, and I could, like, I know you don't see this, but in the background of the website, I have tons of data, and I can pretty much detect when users are going kind of ape-ish a little bit, or just going erratic. And not that you can't, stretch what I call stretch your legs out and really play this game, which is what we're going to talk about in a second about this newest stuff that we're doing. But of which you won, I think $1,300 your first day doing it too. I think that's what you said. But we're going to talk about that in a second. But you could stretch yourself out and play the game like a professional. So as long as you have consciousness of the goal, like the goal is not to play until you lose. The goal is play until you've won and you've hit a winning goal. But even if you don't hit the goal, you don't just play. I since I've been doing this, I've seen users play until they've lost. Like they don't stop playing until they're down. It's not like leave when I'm up. I'm gonna leave when I'm down. Senseless stuff. All right, let's get to the next questions. How did you manage your emotions during losing shoes and down days? You kind of hinted on that, managing your emotions during, like you just mentioned, you look in things in terms of units, not dollars, and you manage by the book. Let me ask you this question for users who tend to go beyond, what the scope of what we're presenting in terms of a process. And they have, it's clear that they probably should just join the winning process. But what would your words be to someone who's new? They see things from their angle, or they say, hey, I'm going to do it this way, or I like it, and they have success maybe doing it their way. what would you say to people based on your experience in doing it by the book relative to maybe doing it your own way?
So that's where I got in trouble early on, is not listening to the bet or the wager. So you go 1, then 2, and then reset. I kept martingale on, and that got me. And I won some, right? Like, you're like, oh wow, this is working. And then when that doesn't work, it's bad. You know what I mean? It wipes you out quick. Where if you follow the prompts of the system and take your 2 units or 3 units and get out, or you get a -3 right off the bat, just get out. So you don't let the emotions take over. You more act like, I don't want to call it a robot, but the system gives you enough prompts where you can save yourself from yourself.
Yeah. Totally. And you're right, it does give enough prompts for it to alert you, but you gotta take hold to those, and you gotta understand too, guys, is that the losing part is the variance. Like, you're not going to get in anything, and if anyone should understand that, it's the quote unquote gambler. But you really got to understand it here. Like, there's going to be ups and downs. You may have to tread water for a day or 2, or even in his case for a week. But I think we've solved that issue with the most recent thing that we're doing, of which I'm going to be showing you guys here. Matter of fact, I'm going to be reopening the trial. I'm going to show you guys what we're doing. You can see right here on the screen now, I'm showing you guys now. These are his sessions, and you can see how it says win. These are singular flat betting wins, all right? And this is what we've been doing now. Now, we do a progression. The reason why we do a progression in between, these are singular game wins, but these, it's like where it says loss, loss, loss. These are singular losses. They're not like double up losses or -3s. There's only -1. So if you look you see how this thing is winning, how minimized the losing is on the screen, guys. This is where we are exploiting the game. Now, this is something new. I'm going to be showing you guys this on YouTube, and you can come in and take a free trial. I'm only going to do the free trial temporarily because, unfortunately, when I had the free trial before, I had everyone on the free trial all day long, but no one signed up. And I didn't, unfortunately, this is not a public service for me. And I didn't spend, 48 years to develop something to this point to just give it away. Not when we're having a meltdown. I want to make money just like you guys. But if I'm going to spend the time to develop this, to make it this great, guys, and even give us opportunities to do it and learn about it for free, don't take advantage of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the demo on, but I'm going to do it for temporary so that, guys, you can see what we're doing next right now. So with that said, Jason, talk to me a little bit about the newest stuff that we're doing. What do you think the differences is between the old and what we're now doing, and how do you see this hashing out for the good or worse?
Yeah, so I've basically been doing this newer style. Basically only traded on it for about 3 days, and I've done extremely well. What I like about it is it takes the probability of winning is even higher. So even the losing streaks aren't as long, and the ability to recoup from your losing streaks is very quick, as opposed to the standard system, if you will.
Yep.
So you can, so the wins compound a lot higher.
Very much.
In my opinion.
Yes, sir. And that's what it was designed to do. It was designed to do exactly that. That's the reason why your numbers are up. And exactly. So, and then you know what happened? And thanks to everyone, whether you are a trial user or whether you are a user or whether you're a slow user, which we have a few, or, to each his own, but everyone's numbers mattered because I was able to get the kind of analytics that allowed me to see to this level of where we're at now. Since those 3 days, what was your earnings in those 3 days? Roughly, just
3 days, roughly around $2,500.
About 25. So guys, listen, and you started with 1,000, you're at 25. The last question that ChatGPT is pinching me on, it says, how has this changed your outlook on what's possible financially in the casino market? Looking at what we're doing, the over 700 games you've played now, especially what we're doing now, what is your outlook?
Oh, this is definitely a big game changer as opposed to the standard way. The money's going to grow quicker. What is the outlook? It's looking like, potentially like people can have a very nice monthly income off of this, to be very honest.
Yeah, I mean, you can only grow. It's not like you're capped. Like you said, $1 trade is no different than $1,000 trade. So if you could successfully gain units at $1, the $100 will be no different. So if you're talking in terms of monthly income, the only thing you've got to do is do exactly what you've done, Jason, is be consistent, play by the rules, listen to what you're saying, what you're being told, and go buy it. If you have any questions, I'm always available, but you're not the only one. We have a few users who are doing these kind of numbers. So it's not something that's just limited. Some guy, oh, he's had 700 of well, it's more than 700 games. This is just a freestyle. But all these games he's played, oh, that's luck. Well, no, you're not going to have luck after that many attempts. Not in this market. Maybe 50, and that could be lucky. Not 700. And you're doing it at $1 amount where it actually counts and the numbers are proving themselves. Listen, man, I really appreciate your time, brother. And we're going to continue to rock out. Any last words you'd like to say to the current users? The good news is that there's not a lot of people watching this or listening, and that's good. That's actually a really good thing. But to the group people who are listening, what would you say to them who are interested in joining, or folk who are maybe having a hard time for whatever reason? What would you say?
I would say definitely, if you're on the fence, definitely join, because it's unlimited what you're going to learn, and the potential that you got is really hard to talk about in general. But the other thing is, like I said earlier, is just follow the rules. Don't be a gambler. Don't martingale till the end of the world and your bankroll's toast. If you follow the rules in any of the systems in the software, you're going to be profitable.
Yeah, there's been so many people who've said, I'm gonna say so many people, but I've often had folks say it's impossible, da 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 da. And then when I had AI validate these numbers, AI said, oh no, it's not only possible, but we've gone through millions. Like on the front part of this page on the website, it says AI has done over, I think, 3 million real world samplings of data. And it showed exactly what we're doing now. What you're experiencing is what AI has validated, but it's also something that I knew months and months and years ago. And that's exactly what we're doing now. So with that said, man, I appreciate your time, Jason. I'm gonna let you get back. I know you were probably on when we first started, so I'm gonna let you get back to playing and making some money. So I really appreciate your time. For everyone else, you can go to shadowmaxtrading.com. I'm gonna be putting up the free demo I'm gonna put up what we're doing now so you guys can see it, but I'm also gonna do the free demo so you guys could try that process out, because it's even 10 times better. I'm gonna say 10 times, maybe it is 10 times better, but much higher than where it was before. So we're cooking. Thanks again, Jason. Everyone else, peace. Thank you guys so much. shadowmaxtrading.com. Until the next time, take care. All right, Jason, thanks so much, brother.
No problem.
Appreciate that. What I was gonna say